request ma'am to present.
Just a minute.
Yes.
Hope the slides are visible, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Next. Next. Yes. So we are here to discuss today's session on how to effectively write thesis. See, basically, when a PhD scholar is doing to write a complete report statement, so from the scratch, while the journey begins with problem identification and then follow up by checking the validity of the problem, thereby moving ahead with research design and then identifying various ways to collect the data, etc. So all this is step by step process. But the important thing one must note here is a thesis to be effective is when and where the scholar focuses on an instrumental argument, a valid problem which has been identified, and throughout the journey of your research, thesis writing in the report work that you would be doing in your thesis would support and align your questions with which you happen to start your journey. So that is where you have to, concentrate on. One has to concentrate on is at the beginning, what questions you developed. Are you continuing to answer the same questions or you have D-lined? All right, in case if you find at any stage that you are going, beyond what has been raised by you earlier stage, then you align them so that you don't D-line and you remain with a focusing point and you justify the questions which have been developed by you at the initial stage. So, thesis writing, major instrumental work in thesis writing would go to ensuring, in your complete journey, ensuring that you stick to your questions and don't get diverted or diluted. The moment you cross and you happen to, go out of the line, you will lose the essential focus that may drive you to, certain other things which are not so significant here would be focused on. So all in all, if you lose that alignment, it ends up giving you, the wrong conclusions and lands you in wrong findings, which is not at all your idea behind. So effective thesis or any research work for the sake of, say, publications, if you are doing paper publications, anything, when you start your journey in research, ensure you develop a question. You identify a problem which should be, converted into a question. So with this, let's move on to see, next slide, certain things which you are, supposed to focus on are, while you are into your stage one and trying to, ensure that you develop a valid questions, etc. You need to focus on geographical location, which you have selected. The study which is based on, particular region. Suppose if you have taken up a study which has been done already in, say, Europe, Australia, or say London, or any other nation, or any other places in India itself. And now you wanted to do the same thing here. So given that region, there would be certain things which would favor and certain things which are unfavorable. So there are so many challenges over there, and accordingly the work is done. So when you are trying to do such work here, then remember to ensure that it is suitable to your region. And in that way, you need to check its validity. All right. So next is scope of the proposed study. Scope is the defined boundaries by the researcher. These defined boundaries would help you enable to stick within your subject, within your domain, not delining and exploring. See what happens when you start your journey and you end up knowing more and more about, and you got the habit, and people around you keep telling you that yes, you have to do a lot of reviews, literature reviews you have to do. So in that process, you end up learning from various platforms. You learn up from books, thesis, previous experiences by interviewing people. You get drawn into it. You are almost into a huge information. Given this condition, if you are not able to define your scope, you would further, lose your concentration, your focusing point. So there comes a need for you all to draft your scope. This will enable you to understand that, oh my God, here, this is a point where I need to stop. Beyond this, if I am going, it will deline and, detract. So hence I should not go beyond this. These are my limits. Let me be within this. Let me explore being here. So that's how the scope will help a researcher to ensure that they remain focused throughout the journey. Next is the major research works that have been carried on in international and national level is to be reviewed. The very reason why you should review the previous work is, see, it so happens that we feel that the idea that we have is quite innovative and it is really making some sense in what way we are thinking. It sounds so good, but do you know that there are people who might have already done, there might be researchers who might have already have covered these kind of areas. So in order to see if in case the research is already done in the same line as you are planning to do, then what fun in having again the same kind of research, isn't it? Although because of your interest or for some negligency, unavoidable reasons, etc., if you are carrying that work, I would guarantee you at the end, when you are in the findings conclusion stage, at that point you will feel like, oh, what is this I am, deriving out of that, marathon work that I have conducted. That is the point where you realize that it is already done by so many people. And then what did I do? What is that I have done here? So these are certain questions which you have to answer at the very beginning. At the very beginning level, you need to answer that these kind of topics that you happen to choose aren't covered, are not, being addressed by others. Even if you find they're covered and addressed by, other research papers, then check out for any other good reason for which you can take up this study again. So that way you will know around you across, so many other people, scholars in the form of scholars, people for the purpose of facilitating the government, NGO, voluntary organization who are conducting researches, okay, who are into active research. If they have already done, then what is the point in you redoing the same work? This particularly will put you in fact in you in danger later dates. When you present your work to the panel of examiners, when you start defending your work, the very first question would be, when it is already done, when people have already said this is going to happen, then why did you carry this work? What is that innovation that you brought in? What is that new thing that you have done innovatively in your work? Bring out that, present that. People would ask you such questions. In case if you are not justifying or unable to defend your work, then it might harm your status. So, it is very important for you all to ensure that before you start, what works in that particular domain has been done in recent times, international level and national level. Thereby, take up this and show to the panel in the later date when you are presenting or defending your work, show it them then how reasonably you have selected your topic. This is one way to ensure and make your work valid. Also, it gives weightage when you quote previous work and justify and defend your work. Okay, then comes uniqueness. How is it unique in your work? As at the beginning of the session, I quoted that any work done in any other nations can be brought in and be done very smartly, but there should be unique. If you are doing the same thing, then it is of no use. Whatever simplest to simple work that you wanted to carry on should have some meaning and uniqueness. Without uniqueness, there is no research. All right. Next is draft the objectives of the proposed study. Objectives are, the statements which comes or emerges from problem identification. The problems that the scholar identifies, those problems are converted into objectives, researchable questions first. Problems are converted into researchable questions. These questions are then turned into objectives. Right? Next is a framework of the study. Framework of the study is how are you going to design. A template needs to be made where you talk about chapters or say units that you are going to present in your thesis. This framework would also benefit you in various ways. And the best benefit that you can derive out of this is you will know what content is coming in which chapter before itself. Later, some changes and some major accommodations can be done based on the requirement. But to start with, many of you would be having a problem like how do we start? What are the topics that we should focus on? What is selected by us, is that valid or not to do a research? Is that going to really make any sense in the later or not? So such questions keep tuning you throughout your journey. So framework would give you here an idea of wherever from you are extracting the work, wherever from you are trying to collect the data, how are you going to, put them. That is where the structural framework happens to play a key role. This framework will give you an idea what to collect, what not to collect, how much to put in and how much not to put. Okay, so next moving on, we have identification of research gaps. By now, you should be in a position to know what type of research works in the domain that you have selected had happened till date. This information will give you an idea what now you can do, what you can carry on now. Okay, so when you know what best you can carry on, this study of yours between one to one, paper to paper, and then thesis to thesis will help you to draft your research gap. That means research gap here means it refers to the challenges the previous researchers have faced, the limitations they had which they could not answer because of their own limitations. That way, you can try to build up research gap, justifiable. Major research questions or hypotheses can be developed based on the objects that you have developed. Okay, so when you are trying to draft the hypothesis, keep in mind that a thesis states how the work is to be done, and the framework gives you control on how much you can do, what is in your limitations, and what goes beyond it. Okay, so that way you will get an idea of unique uniqueness your work is, how thoughtful, how meaningful your work is going, which is very important for any thesis. Like a thesis should have a specific, particularly a problem, which is to be precise. It cannot be, forceful, and you cannot go overconfident. You need to be confident, but not overconfident. So all these points to be included while you are identifying, the research gap and drafting the same. Then followed by a stage comes where a researcher is asked by their respective universities to prepare and present a research design proposal. We call it as abbreviation as RDP. Now this is the time where the research design proposal needs to be drafted and presented to the panel. The panel would further screen it and validate it, after which you will get liberty to carry on your research work in line with your research design presentation. What does this research design include? It includes a methodology. It includes a methodology which is presented on the basis of which you are going to carry on the research. For example, the data. how are you collecting data, where from you're collecting data, in what form you're collecting data, how much time duration you have estimated for data collecting. After collecting the data, how are you going to process it? What are the tools that you will be adopting to process the data? Further, what is the, techniques that you would be adopting, statistical tools, and so on and so forth. It is all about a plan of action. Research design is plan of action. Then you have next move on to major social and cultural theories which are to be applied in the proposed studies. In case if the domain is related to history, women's studies, etc., then there are certain things which need to be, made clear, like social, cultural theories, to what extent you can cover. So these subjects will have to ensure that they draft the framework properly and present the research design. Then significance and contribution. This refers to, suppose you're taking a topic, right? How this topic is going to help the society. You should answer this question. How is your work going to contribute to the society? Number one, to the local people, government, NGOs, or any other party. Contribution from your work is for whom? You need to state that very clearly. And is it so important? Significance. Is it so important? If yes, then in what all different ways it is going to benefit? All that you have to present here. Of course, any topic which you are taking up, to be effective, keep in mind throughout that it should contribute something back to the society. In line with this, we assume that the scholars bring in innovative topics, path-breaking aspects are touched, and they try to keep up the spirit of not only identifying a problem but retaining the same alignment and ensuring that at the end they are contributing back to the society, directly or indirectly, major or minor, but yes, they have to. That is where, when we talk about research paper, thesis writing, or research articles, etc., ensure that they are innovative, path-breaking, uniqueness is there in the paper. If you are also doing the same, what others have done, then what is the difference? Immediately, a question will be posed to you with the proofs. Why did you carry this work? When the kind of conclusions that you are drawing is already there in with the previous researchers, what is that you have done? So that way, you need to be little alert and attentive, and always keep focused. Focused to ensure that you do a quality work. Expected outputs such as books, policy papers, documents, and various databases, materials should be used. These only will give you exact idea whether the work which you are carrying is going to benefit the society in a way or not. If you find at any point that the contribution you're not able to develop, then stop for a while, think, redo your work again and a head back. Without which, if you go and proceed, there comes a day where you have to come back again and sit to align again all your research problems, questions, objectives, hypotheses, etc. Then comes the relevance of the proposed study for the society and achievements of sustainability goals. So, whatever work that we are carrying, that should be helpful to the society in a way, or directly or indirectly. If it is not going to benefit the society, then it is of no use. Suppose there is a problem, okay, problem in usage of non-refillable pens. It needs to be addressed. Otherwise, next 5-10 years, you see non-refillable pens, use and throw pens, plastic, which is harmful to the environment. Tons of plastic will be collected in the form of pens again. So piles of tons of material of plastic will be decked up at places. In next 5 to 10 years, we can estimate that it is going to grow further. So if this problem is identified, then how are you going to address this? Who are the people who are going to benefit? You need to list down. And thereafter, you need to also at the end conclude by giving certain tips. So to society, to the place where you're working, to the nation directly or indirectly, to the society in general. So you can give suggestions. Feasibility of the proposed study. So at the end, check out if it is worth doing or not. If it is not sounding good at this level itself, then stop. Check back and see. If it is not, then it is waste to conduct. All right. Next slide, ma'am, please. These are few points which are discussed in order to make your thesis effective. And all these points, what we have discussed now, all these needs to be, they have to be started at the very elementary level itself. And throughout the journey, the scholar should have these points in mind. Then only a proper research work, a research work with good weightage will be developed. Next is state the topic which is essential idea for your work. So while you start, keep in mind idea and supporting to the idea certain reasons as to why you want to take up this idea. One or more reasons would really benefit you. Okay, so you need to ensure that you have sufficient reasons to validate your idea. And remember, not all ideas which comes in our mind are worth doing research. Not all ideas. Only few valid ideas. So out of that, select one or two or more, so that while you present this to your fellow scholars, colleagues, seniors, your research groups, etc., when you discuss with them, you need to have one or more. With this, you will be in a position to kickstart your work. And validity checking will be done. And this will be done with the help of all your people around you, the academic groups. Okay, the places where you can sit and discuss in detail. Right? Next slide, ma'am. Then thesis. Now look at what is thesis? Of course, it's a huge volumed book, right? It's a long piece of academic writing. It is an original work. Of course, it is to be submitted for the purpose of getting a degree or PhD or publication, right? So usually we end up submitting this at the end of any of these courses. Test your capacity for independent research. Sometimes it is referred as thesis and sometimes research project. Next slide, ma'am. Why is it referred as research process and why not as a research? It is sometimes referred as dissertation, research projects, and thesis. There is a difference. There is a difference, and one common thing that all these together have is academic requirements. Learning research methodology, critical appraisal, publication, and research grants, which we want to receive from external sources. So, one thing that is common among all these three is this. Okay, next slide. Yes, so far in by large we've been discussing about how to start a research and how to retain the essentials of research throughout your journey. If you deline, you will be in problem. So keep in mind how you're starting, with what questions you're starting, and try to retain the same thing until you finish your journey. Okay, so this is writing work actually. Now, all these slides were talking about brainstorming, what to do, what not to do, how to do, etc., planning. Now, see how do you start? First step, choose a suitable research area. Select your supervisors. This is actually done by the university where you will be allotted the supervisors or guides. If it is a research project, then the students in the colleges and the universities, they are allotted a supervisor or say guide, they are referred as, who will be guiding them to take up the research work. Step 2, look at what all facilities that you have. Check back funds, infrastructure, resources in the form of books, accessibility of certain softwares, all these you need to check. Okay. Then step 3. Yes, now you should be in a position to draft the objectives and write a systematic way the structure. This structure is a laydown of chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, so on and so forth. Okay, so it is like framework, your plan of action. Next is step 4. It is wherein you take the approval of your board, committee, and then you get registered. In sciences, etc., it is mandatory, but in social sciences, it all depends on your guide, and then approval from guide will do good. Okay, so approval from these boards becomes mandatory for certain subjects, and accordingly, you need to go for the approval of your research design. Once this research design gets accepted, the next step, start implementing. It is time for you to implement your plan of action and observe how things work. Then in the next step, whatever you have shown in your plan with respect to data collection, processing, and the adoption of statistical analysis techniques and tools, please check all this and start implementing one by one slowly. Collection of data, storage, and usage of statistical analysis. Okay, and then move on to the next phase where you will try to organize your material. By now, you have done literature review, you have done research design, you have collected data, you have so much of data, you have put that data into process, analyzed, tabulated, organized, and also have adopted certain testers which gives you certain findings based on which analysis is to be done. So all this lots of data is collected by now, needs to be put up meaningful way, right? That is where all your material needs to be organized. Editing the thesis content, editing for languages, etc. in data presentation to be done immediately. Once you ensure that you put up everything like, unit 1, unit 2, data is been put up, next duty is start editing. Editing includes page setup, font size, font style, alignment, bulleting, numbering, all this. Okay? Once you're ready with your manuscript, then go for plagiarism check. A plagiarism check can be conducted at various universities, colleges, etc., where the check can be done by paying a nominal fee. But for scholars, PhD scholars, etc., it is free. You can avail this benefit from your respective universities from the statistics department. Statistics department, they will have a software where you can check the level of plagiarism. If the level of plagiarism is high, then you happen to be unethical. Unethical here I refer to the practices of copying and pasting in your work. If you have done that, then definitely, yes, definitely your work will be, sent back to you with your reviews and they'll ask you to redo it again. Okay, and then lastly, when your work is done and everything is done, so you need to ensure that you have copyrights, acknowledgements, disclosures, if any. All these you need to check out. And then finally, your book is now ready for thesis defending, presentations at various national and international platforms, publication at conferences, seminars, etc. Okay, next please. There is a difference between dissertation, thesis, and short-term research project. What are those differences? On the basis of the requirement, duration, methodology adopted, outcome which is targeted, hypothesis which are drafted, novelty which is expected, and evaluation and defensive mechanism which is used. All these three differ from each other. Dissertation is a long piece. Long piece, yet it is not as long as thesis. A short-term research project submitted by BA, BBA, BCom students or any other nutritional dietetics students or any other combination or any other subject, yes, they are just in number of pages. And this might go up to 50, from 50 to any highest number research projects. Dissertation can start from 100 to any big number, not more than 200. and thesis would go up to hundreds, and it becomes a huge volume, kind of book. It covers from scratch what you have done, organization, etc., till your appendix. So that way, thesis is a comprehensive work, whereas dissertation and short-term research projects are slightly lower in number and not comprehensive as the thesis is. The duration is short-term, thesis duration is very long-term. Methodology adopted is simplified here in case of research projects, but for thesis, no compromising on the methodology. Yes, thesis is outcome oriented. Thesis and dissertation, whereas short-term research projects, in order to fulfill the requirement for the award of degree, the students end up doing the projects and keep on submitting. And they keep on continuously submitting year by year. And they've been piled up in the libraries and the departments and the examination branches without having to do with any novelty, etc. That is at that level that they are doing. That is UG level that they are doing, right? So a defensive, mechanism which is it is a process of evaluation which is adopted for thesis and dissertation, but for research projects it is referred as viva voce examination, right? Viva voce examination. This is how dissertation, thesis, and short-term research project differs from each other. All right, next slide. Now, what does a thesis contain? It should contain front pages, introduction, literature review, methodology, results, dissertations, conclusions, and end matter. All these are various chapters which are presented. And keep in mind, there is a template given to you all, and these templates differ from university to university. If you ask me the percentage of difference, 5 to 10%. Major things that are covered in broad areas are front pages, introductions, literatures, methodology. This is something which is common in every research work, every thesis. Every university focuses on only these elements. But when it comes to structuring your work, then there are chances that slightly it might differ from supervisor to supervisor also. University to university, supervisor to supervisor. The chapterization, titles, names might differ, but the essential contains the same thing. If you look at essentially what it does contain, then these are certain things which are going to be mandatorily be there in the thesis. Okay, next slide, ma'am. I will show you a template in the upcoming slides where you will get a more, full view of how a thesis would appear to be. Okay, next slide now. Front pages. Now, what does this front pages are all about? Front pages are all about your cover page, your dissertation title. It should include your name, type of document, department or the institution that you belong to, the program that you are taken up, and the date of submission, along with your research supervisor's details. Details of your research supervisors. Okay? Yes, next. Acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is a page where you happen to thank people who have been instrumental in conducting this research work, who have been more or less helping you, assisting you in carrying out your research work and bearing with you all your irritations, frustrations. So it is a page which gives you an opportunity to thanks people. Okay, because it is your page, your Thanksgiving page, so therefore it is said to be less formal. It need not be formal. Okay, it is actually more personal than being formal here. All the people in an order, chronological order, from higher ups to lower, including family, your pets, etc. Everyone can be included. And ensure that it doesn't go beyond a page. If an opportunity is given to write personally, you may end up writing papers and papers, but no. This is a formal thesis writing work, right? So for your PhD submission, at the most one page. That's it. Okay, and everyone across can be thanked on this page for you who have extended the help to you. All right, next slide, ma'am. Then comes the abstract page. What is abstract basically? It's not at all an introduction or a summary. It is the main topic that you have taken up, the methods that you have applied, and the results that you have drawn, followed by conclusions that you have drafted. So abstract is all about compiling the main topic, try to include the methods, results adopted, results derived, etc., so as to make the abstract ready. And the abstract for a thesis can go up to 1 page. It should also accompany with 5 key points, 5 keywords. 5 keywords which talks more about or often used in your research work. Okay, keywords to be identified and put up and should be accompanied here. Next slide, ma'am. Table of content. Now for this table of content, you can take the help of the MS Word, or there are certain softwares which you can, raw data can be inserted, can be, given to the softwares, and they will automatically generate a table of content neatly with the numbers, which are quite clear and consistent headings. So auto generation is also available. Manually also you can sit and do all your contenting, chapter 1, again 1.1, 1.2, what all you need to organize them. Okay. Next slide, ma'am. And then comes list of abbreviation. Now what is this page all about? List of abbreviation. It's a page where you will have to insert all the abbreviations and give the full form of all those abbreviations which you have frequently, often, or sometimes very rarely used abbreviations in the content writing. So therefore, you need to here mention, because in English, abbreviations, confuses people to understand. Like in accounts, DR means debit, CR means credit. It can be misunderstood by others. So I need to mention here in this page DR as debit and CR as credit. Likewise, the same list should be arranged alphabetically. Okay. Next slide, ma'am. List of glossary is another page which is to be inserted. And this glossary page includes all those special terms which you have, again I repeat, frequently, often, or rarely used terminology in the thesis work should come here on this page. You used there, but it should appear here on this page like it is giving meaning, with a meaning, a term with its meaning, a simplified version of it. Again, All these needs to be arranged alphabetically. And a brief 1 line to 2 lines definition should be included for each and every term. For this, you can consult your supervisor and check out whether you are, what topics or terms that you have selected are all aligned or not. With their suggestions, only you can move on. Okay, next slide. Now main part includes what all? Let's see. Next slide, ma'am. Main part is the main content of the thesis work, which includes several chapters. It can go from 1 to 10, depending on your requirement, you will develop the chapters. So basically, what does it include is research topic, background information, scope that you have defined, relevance of the work, and the researchable questions and objectives, and it also gives an overview of your structure. So introduction is all about covering all these aspects in the thesis. Next slide, ma'am. Then comes the literature review, which is another, very important at the same time marathon task for a researcher, wherein it includes collection of reviews from previous works. For a PhD thesis, the number goes even beyond 100. So for each work, you need to write in your own words. There is no, it isn't available online, or it is not available in the form of abstract or short forms. The whole research work you need to read and rewrite, paraphrasing you have to do for your own, in your own style, about your, as per your understanding. So while you're doing this, you have to critically evaluate these sources where from you have collected, thereby ensuring that you connect them all. That is, you should not lose the connectivity. You have to ensure that they are all connected. Draw conclusions based on your reviews. Show how your research builds on what you find. Okay, so these components are to be focused on while you are drafting the literature review. Next slide. Next comes the theoretical framework. Theoretical framework is all about the theory content which you will be inserting in the thesis work, which will be accompanied by theories, concepts, models. See, there are two things. One is that you will develop, another is that you will take up from the textbooks, etc. So all these needs to be organized properly, meaningfully. So how are you going to do all this? How how are they going to be inserted? These needs to be discussed and put up accordingly here, section wise, chapter wise, like that. Okay. Next, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am. Then comes the methodology. Methodology, as I discussed in the initial slides, it's an approach that we move on with. It can be a qualitative, quantitative, experimental. So at the beginning itself, we are going to, make all this understanding. What are we doing? So here at this point, you will not have any confusion. We just have to implement what we have written in RTP. Collection methods, how are you going to collect surveys, interviews, etc. Details, where, when, who, materials, softwares, lab requirements, statistical tools, and finally the challenges that you happen to face while conducting the implementation part. All those you need to present here under methodology. Next. And finally comes the results, which includes your findings, conclusions, suggestions. And while you're writing results, ensure that you don't interpret them. Interpretation should happen in your respective chapters where you are showing your data. It shouldn't fall here in the results. Here in the results, general results in general, domain, you need to generalize. You cannot be particular here, particular to a particular case, etc. You need to generalize and talk in terms of results. So interpretations wouldn't work here. Rather, interpretations are equally important, but not in the result section. It can be presented in the data analysis chapters. Next slide, ma'am. So finally, you will end up writing your suggestions that comes as in discussion. So interpretations, how do you interpret your results? Did they meet up your expectations? These questions are need to be answered. If you're successfully answering this question, then you assume that your work is through. With full confidence, please go ahead defending your work. But at any point in this question, you feel like you are not able to do, then please stop back and check yourself. Go back and check the same questions, connected theory, connected models, data analyzed, tools adopted, and then come back and answer again. So you need to establish that connectivity. Without connectivity, discussions are waste. Okay, so connectivity needs to be created and various factors which influence the unexpected results aren't to be touched. In fact, the results which are aligned to your objective only should be spoken about and presented. Nothing more than that, okay? Next. And then finally, conclusion page where you have to conclude your work. So you will give suggestions, you will have to talk about contribution word in the initial beginning of the session. I was focusing on this contribution to the society, contribution to the public, etc., etc. So contribution in what way and how it is going to be meaningful and significant needs to be written here. And never ever try to show any raw data here. If anything of that nature is to be accommodated, put them in appendix, but not in conclusions. So broadly, the thesis, next slide, ma'am. Broadly, the thesis is put up in these, headings. And then finally, references. End list comes, the last pages of your thesis work, which includes references. Now, references, MLA style and APA style. APA style is quite famous and popular. People across ask APA style. And for this APA style of writing the references, you need to take the help of textbooks on research methodology, learn and try to put them in APA style. So all the accurate details of your sources from which citations which you have generated, all these you need to put up in the last pages. Next slide, ma'am. The last comes the appendices. Now, as I've been over my presentation, been referring about appendix to twice or thrice. It is wherein a data or a table or a content or a theory model which you feel is really interesting, but you aren't able to accommodate in your main paper, main pages, main chapters. But yet again, you are very much, finding it interesting and you want to do the, put up this in somewhere. Then this is the place where you can put last pages under the title appendices. All your survey questions, tables, contents, which haven't been put up there in the main work can be accommodated here. Okay, and each category of your appendix can be named as appendix 1, appendix 2, etc. Right? Next slide. So with this, we happen to discuss, if you quickly have a recap of what we've discussed is front pages, main pages and end pages. Your thesis will include all these pages. And to do an effective presentation, see, there is a template which is shown on screen. The first pages which I've discussed, which it should include title, your university, award, year, program, etc. Yes, ma'am. Next is declaration page. All these templates will be shared to you all by the respective universities. Slight variation, not major differences, but they all remain same. Yes, your name and then certificate comes on the letterhead of the university. Then comes acknowledgement abstract page with keywords. And then comes the preface, which talks about your project work. Table of content. These are all front pages. These are all front pages. Yes, list of tables, list of graphs, list of, abbreviations, list of glossaries. Then finally comes the appendix pages, which are again categorized. If you have more information to be, put up in the appendix, they need to be categorized depending on their very nature. Like you have conducted an interview. All the manuscripts that you've collected for interview, name it as Appendix A. Appendix B as the primary data that you have collected through questionnaires, you can put up as B. C, you can categorize them for the data in the form of table. D, you can graphically show certain things. So that way you can categorize appendix, okay? Next, to start all your chapterization work. That is your main part, main essential part. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, so on and so forth. And this number goes as in the case of your domain and subject. Yes, bibliography references, bibliography nowadays are also included. So all these are the end pages. Index page. Okay, so with this, I think I end up my presentation. If any queries, any questions, I am here to answer your questions. Please raise your questions. I already